Hey guys, The Curious Owl here, and today I am here to talk about the books that I read and finished in August. August was a very slow month for me when it came to reading because I was on the tail end of doing 3 book readathons back to back to back, and I hit a bit of a reading slump, I think, this month because I was just not as invested in wanting to read regularly as I've been. And I think that also with the impending doom of coming up in my final semester of college, it was really hitting me a lot in August. But August turned out to be a really interesting month because I finished babysitting for the summer. I ended up getting an apartment for college my last semester that I did not expect to get. I found out about it like 3 weeks before I had to move in, so I had to quickly get a bunch of stuff to get my apartment ready, which is where I'm at now. And then just kind of preparing for the school year was really, really stressful because it is my last semester of college, and I realized this past month that, and especially towards the end of the month going into September, that there's going to be a lot of changes for me. I'm basically going to be limiting my reviews to only books that I am doing for my random TBR picks, any books that I am reading for Off Tones Publishing, and or books that I am doing as part of a reread series. So that's kind of what I have planned coming up for August. I will explain more about it in my September TBR video, as that will entail a lot of the books that I'm going to be hopefully reading in September. I also am not going to be doing any more readathons until I'm out of school because the readathons really just make it harder on me, especially when I have a very stressful schedule as I do this semester, to read as many books as I can. I could barely do them in the summer, so there's no way I'm going to be able to do them while I'm still in college. So I just can't do them, and I'm also not going to really be doing much other than that. My videos are probably going to be cut back a little bit, but we'll see kind of how things go. I still plan on at least getting my tags and Top 5 Wednesdays out. But book reviews wise, they'll probably be a little bit more sporadic. I do have some other videos I plan on coming out with in the future, and it will just be a matter of when I get the time to record and edit and get them done, basically. So in the month of August, like I said, it was a very slow month, but I did end up reading 4 books. One of the books that I ended up reading was split between really the audiobook and the physical book, but I kind of kept the physical book with me. My bullet journal, I ended up marking the pages that I had gotten to based on where I was in the audiobook. So I really didn't listen to the audio, like really mark down my audiobook minutes until I got to the next audiobook that I'm currently working on now. And so the statistics for this month, I read a total of 1,429 pages, and I, at the end of August 31st, had listened to 3 hours and 46 minutes of the audiobook that I'm currently working on, which actually I am nearly done with at this point. I think I have maybe a little more than an hour left of it, so I should be able to finish it on today, September 4th, basically. So the first book that I finished was a 5-star read for me, and that was for More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. I think I picked this one for my Booktubeathon reading, and I really enjoyed it. This is my first Adam Silvera book, and I think I started off with quite a bang because this book, I think, touched on a lot of important ideas that, you know, really touched me in a lot of ways, and I came out with a video shortly afterward, you know, that really was inspired by the fact that I had read More Happy Than Not and felt finally comfortable with talking about something that I had not been wanting to talk about for a long time. This book basically talks about a boy who is trying to figure out, you know, who he wants to be sexuality-wise. He is having a very hard time with determining his sexuality because he's been in a long-term relationship with this girl, and after the death of his father and dealing with some emotional problems, he meets this boy that he starts to have feelings for, and he's very confused. He doesn't quite know what's going on with that, and so he's trying to figure things out. And in the background of this entire story is this place called the Lateo Institute, where a lot of people go to have parts of their memories kind of wiped away almost, not completely because they could resurface, but they basically go there to have their memories suppressed. And because of a lot of the things that this boy goes through, he starts to think maybe it's best for him to go to the Lateo Institute and have his memory suppressed, because there's a lot of things that kind of come up throughout the book that really starts to damage him emotionally, and having to deal with that and trying to figure out his sexuality is really, really difficult for him, and it almost seems impossible for him to live. I was really touched by this story because it really brings up the question of, you know, is being gay or questioning your sexuality, is that a choice? And it most certainly is not. It is not something that we choose to do, those of us in the LGBTQ spectrum. We don't choose to go through this. This is something that just happens. And when I finished reading this book, I felt so empowered, and I felt so understood about the questioning aspect of, you know, finding out about your sexuality that I came out with a video talking about the fact that I'm pansexual. After having read More Happy Than Not and understanding that somebody else understood the questioning aspect of trying to figure out your sexuality was really, really inspiring, because I've seen a lot of books that, you know, have characters that are set with their sexuality, they know what they are, they know what they like, and I haven't really seen anything as of yet that talked about the questioning period of that and trying to figure yourself out. And so I really appreciated how Adam Silvera took the time to really focus on that aspect in terms of finding out about ourselves as we get older, and it just really meant a lot to me to read that. The next book was kind of underwhelming, and that was The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. This was another book that I had decided to read for the Booktubeathon, and I just wasn't as impressed with it as I had wanted to be. The thing about this is it's an adult thriller mystery novel, and it played more on the mystery aspect as opposed to the thriller aspect, I think, because I don't feel like I was really gripped a lot throughout the story. I thought that there were a lot of good points where I could have been gripped because of some important information that was divulged or twists that kind of came up, but throughout the entire novel, I was just kind of meh. Like, it really wasn't anything spectacular, it wasn't anything I hadn't seen before. I just was very, very lukewarm throughout all of it. The next book that I read was even more of a disappointment for me, and it was more so because of a lot of the controversy that I had recognized about it after having finished it, and that was For the Help by Kathryn Stockett, another book that I had decided to read for the Booktubeathon that I ended up finishing after, I think. And there was just a lot of problems that I had found with it, and a lot of them I didn't realize until after I had started looking at other reviews and things that people were saying about it, which all really I thought had rang true. I originally had given this novel a 4 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed it. I really liked Skeeter and Aibileen and Minnie as characters. I thought that they truly brought the story out, and it was really beautiful and a really hard topic to talk about, but the fact that it was written by a white woman who was essentially writing things from what she thought her maid when she was a kid would have experienced, everything about it was just really, really problematic. And although I may have liked the content of the story by itself, I can't justify, you know, really enjoying something that is incredibly problematic in a lot of ways. I think if this story had been written from Kathryn Stockett's maid's point of view, it would have made things a lot nicer, but because it was written by her and had no real account or experience of being a maid in the 1960s in Jackson, Mississippi, it just was so hard to think that it was anything but biased and anything but kind of stereotypical at best. And so I ended up giving it a 2 out of 5 stars because although it was really disappointing, there were a lot of things I liked about it. Like, I liked the characters themselves, but I'm worried that they might be stereotypes, especially Aibileen and Minnie, who are the 2 black characters in this story. There were so many problems with it that I couldn't end up giving it a good rating, basically. And finally, the last book that I ended up finishing at the end of August was City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare, the second book in the Mortal Instruments series. This was my random TBR pick for the month and for July, but I couldn't get to it in July, so I made it my August TBR pick for the month. And I was fairly lukewarm about this one as well. I think that overall it wasn't too bad, but again, like with The Woman in Cabin 10, I wasn't really gripped by anything, and anything that I felt like I should have been gripped by, I wasn't. And it was just very lukewarm for me. I am considering looking into the rest of the series. I think that there's a lot that it has going for it to get me to read more of the series, but this book was just not quite where I wanted it to be, basically. So there you guys go. Those are all the books that I have read for August. The book that I'm currently working on is the audiobook for The Alchemist by Michael Scott. This is a really interesting story. I didn't realize though how modern it is. I thought this was a book that had come out when I was in middle school, maybe early high school, but there's a lot of references in it that make me think it's a lot newer. So I'm gonna have to check on the year of this book because I thought I remembered hearing a lot of my friends reading it when I was in middle school. But it's entirely possible this came out only a few years ago, so we'll see. But that's the one I'm currently working on. I'm really enjoying it so far, and I can't wait to see how it ends because I have maybe an hour or more left of it. I don't have very much of it left, so we'll see how I end up liking it. But thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. Let me know what you guys read in August down in the comments below. And if you guys did enjoy this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.